Hey everybody, so today I'm inside the Audi E-Tron. Now, this review is going to be very different because this is a range test. Now, I'm still gonna do my normal, thorough, in-depth review throughout this video, but that's why it's gonna be so long. So, if you wanna know every detail about this E-Tron, like you've never seen it before, be sure to stay tuned because I promise there's tons of awesome and useful information in here, but the structure is going to be different. So I'm going to start off with the range test. That's going to be the first thing we check out. Then after that, I'll do the exterior, interior, walk around, and then obviously my final thoughts at the very end. But with all this being said, let's go ahead and jump into this Audi E-Tron. Okay, so to charge, very simple. Here is the app, and once it's plugged in, I just swipe, and that should start charging. All right, not sure if you guys can see this, but the charging wouldn't start for whatever reason. So I'm still stuck here, and I haven't started charging yet. I'm gonna try maybe this one and see if that one works, but I've tried both of these plugs, and it keeps giving me this error. Everything's good to go, the car's off, so I don't know what's going on. All right, so we got it charging. Looks like it is charging me about 70 cents a minute, and yeah, so right now we're at 8%. Let me go in and see what it's charging at. All right, so right now we're at 139 kilowatts. 9% already. Just said 8% like a few seconds ago, and it says it'll take about 49 minutes. Now I think that's for a full charge. We'll see how long it takes to get to 80%. So we're at 10% right now, and it is, let me check my phone. It's 3:10. So we'll see how long it takes to get to 80%, and it's telling me how much it's costing me as it's charging, which is kind of cool. All right, not sure if you guys can see this, but it's at 79% now, and it looks like it just hit 80%, and it took around, let's see, about 26 minutes. So that was also with us having about 11 miles right when we started charging, so it's right around what Audi says. Yep, still chugging along. So 91%, 76 kilowatts, 13 minutes left until we're at 100%. All right, so with 100% battery, it's saying 175 miles of range. Now I went ahead and reset everything. As you guys can see right there, everything's reset, because I'm about to drive this to Palm Springs, and that's gonna be about a 70 to 75 mile trip. So I'm gonna drive there. I'm not gonna charge it there. I'm gonna leave it uncharged and then drive back and see how far I can travel on a full charge. I'm gonna see if I can get that estimated 204, or if I can even get above that. So we're gonna see how this goes. Okay everybody, so I am driving the E-Tron to the event of the Audi S4. Now, just want to clarify, because a lot of people seem to think that videos like this are like sponsored or paid. This is not sponsored or paid. I reached out to Audi because I knew that I was going to this event, and I said, hey, I'm only about 2 hours away from Palm Springs, so send me an E-Tron. I will drive it out there, test the range, and then I can make 2 Audi videos for you guys. And yeah, so it benefits both of us. I get content for the channel, and plus I really wanted to know what the true range of this E-Tron is. You know, you can watch reviews all day long, but it's one of those things where you really just want to test it yourself. So that is why I'm doing this, just to clarify that for you guys. Now, I left about 45 minutes early just so that I would not be in a rush, because that will not give an accurate idea of what this range is. I wanted to be able to just stay in like the middle lane, throw it on cruise control a few miles an hour above what the speed limit is, and just chill the entire way there. And I think that's how I'm gonna be able to get a better range number than a lot of tests that I've seen, because I have this car for about 7 days, and you know, I have plenty of time to spend with it, so I don't have any sort of a rushed feeling while filming a lot of this. Now I'm in traffic right now, so you guys can see I'm going literally 8 miles an hour, and usually in a gas car this would be awful. You're using more fuel in stop and go traffic, and you really want to be cruising at around 70 miles per hour in a gas car, or whatever your highest gear is, and at the lowest RPM. That's the sweet spot. It's different with electric cars. So when you're cruising with no one in front of you, you have no like person in front of you breaking up the air, and you're just going against the air, there's no one in front of you, you're going 70 miles an hour, that's when this is going to get the worst range, because electric vehicles do worse at higher speeds in terms of range. So when things like this happen, you don't mind at all, because you're probably going to get a little bit more range because of traffic. It's really backwards, and it takes a lot of getting used to, but I mean, that's the way it is. Now, if you've never driven any of these newer electric vehicles, or just a new car in general, infotainment really does play a huge factor in just the overall everyday experience with your new vehicle. And the fact that it's responsive, you want something that's high-tech. Now, granted, this can get a little bit confusing, but you only use most of this stuff when you're at a stop. Once everything's set, you're pretty much good to go. Once you know where everything is, you're pretty much good to go. And I would say this is no worse than using like Tesla's big screen. As a matter of fact, you have 2 different levels here. So in a way, it's almost a little bit more complicated to use than a Tesla, and it's just ever so slightly less responsive than Tesla's system. Now, that's just comparing it to the obvious leader in the segment. So what makes the E-Tron good? Well, I mean, it's an Audi. Now, that's a very obvious statement, but what I mean by that is it's incredibly luxurious. You don't have to feel like you're missing out on, you know, what the established legacy automakers are doing in terms of luxury, because you get that luxury and you also get that really advanced tech of having an electric vehicle. Whereas Tesla, you get the really advanced tech, you get the better range, you get all those great things, great over-the-air updates, fun little things like being able to play games while you're charging, which you cannot do in this, and it's really frustrating. You also cannot really run it or run the AC. It just won't let you do it. You can do it for a brief amount of time, but then after that, it just doesn't let you. So that's what you get with Tesla. With this, you get just that luxurious experience, and everything you touch and feel is of the highest quality. It's very comfortable. I'm getting my back massaged as I'm talking to you guys. It's just a really, really beautiful place to spend time. It's very quiet in here, very well damped, and on a trip like this, I'm not tired, I'm not fatigued. All right, everyone, I am pulling up to the hotel right now. And then once I pull in, we will see what kind of range and just where I'm at right now in the trip. All right, so here's the final tally. Well, not final, but at least technically halfway point. 103.8 miles traveled, averaging 2.9 miles per kilowatt hour. And it says we still have 137 miles left. So you add that together, and that is 240 240 miles apparently that this can travel. So we will see what it is. I'm gonna drive it all the way till it's dead, and I'm gonna see how well this really does. Okay everyone, so I am finished with the Audi event and I am headed back. Now they did wash the car for me, and I think they said it was 4 miles to get there, so that should be an additional 8 miles total. Let's see what we're at right here. All right, so I believe it was 137. Now I'm at 133, and they drove 2.5 miles. So we're still at, so total of 109.2, whereas before I believe it was 103. But I'm gonna go ahead and get on the road, head back home, and we're gonna see how far I can get. Okay, you guys, so super excited because I just hit over the 204 EPA. I'm not going to tell you guys what I hit just yet, but just know I just hit 12 miles until the battery's depleted and this warning symbol came up, and it said low performance. It hasn't like done anything significantly different. AC's still running. My massage seats are still on because I don't care if this thing is dead. I'm never turning those off. But we're pushing it. We're pushing it. I'm gonna get there with literally about 5 miles remaining. This is gonna be interesting. Y'all, this is extremely sketchy, but this Walmart, or this charging station is in the Walmart parking lot here, and I've got 4 miles. I'm in turtle mode. It won't let me go above this, like, see the orange right there? It will not let me go above that. So, once I pull in, we'll see the final range. You guys, I made it, and I'm so excited right now. But let's go ahead and see what the final numbers were. All right, I drove 229.7 miles. And let's see, short term, so this trip I was getting 3 miles per kilowatt hour. 120 miles back because I had to get to this charging station, which was about 20 miles past where I lived. And yeah, that's extremely impressive, and it wasn't that bad. So to show you guys how I drove, I was in efficiency, so you guys can see that I was in efficiency mode. I think you can put into like a more efficient mode, but I didn't want to do that because it cuts the AC, whatever. The AC wasn't eco, but I've had it set to 67 like both days, and it's been fine with the fan speed up at like 2. Occasionally I'd go to 3. I had my massage seats on the way there. I had cooled seats on. Let's see, I was blasting the radio, so you know that wasn't a huge deal. I had my stuff charging, so I had like my GoPro charging in here. And yeah, the only thing with efficiency is when you're driving around town, you have to go like halfway on the throttle to get off the line. Other than that, when you have it on cruise control on the highway, which by the way, I had it on cruise control like the entire time there and back. I didn't turn on the lane keep here. I just steered myself, but for the most part had it on cruise control, set it to like 70 because that's usually the highest speed limit that I see on the way from Laguna Niguel to Palm Springs. Occasionally I was going as high as like 73 for a stretch in Palm Springs for about maybe 15 minutes. But you know, other than that, I was in the mid-high 60s for the most part, just staying in like the middle lane. And yeah, that's pretty impressive. All right, so now that we know the range and how it drives, let's go ahead and check out the outside and inside of the E-Tron. Now, the price for this one is here on the screen. This is the starting price and the fully loaded price. Audi did not send me the Monroney for this specific tester, but since it's a press vehicle, I can only assume it's absolutely loaded out to the gills. Now, I love this white. It's great. It looks fantastic with all the black accents. And as we come around to the front reminds me actually a lot of like the Mach-E, but since this came out first, I can only assume that Ford may have copied Audi, but either way, it looks great. It is going to be a specific design to the E-Tron, though it still falls in line with the rest of Audi's lineup. You're going to have some blank slats right here because it's electric. It doesn't need as much cooling, but you still have open areas there because you still have to cool the battery, the components for the motors, and things like that. And right down here, you're going to have an open area where air is going to flow through. Basically, just make sure that the air hitting the front of the car is as efficient as possible. It's going to say E-Tron right down here, and you have full LED lights on this car. So you have an LED daytime running light, which looks great. It has animation here in the front, so that's basically going to give it a cool look whenever you unlock it with your key. And you know, it looks great at night because Audi's lighting technology is the best in the business. Now, as we come to the wheels, these are 21-inch wheels. You can get a base wheel, which is smaller, but I highly do not recommend that wheel because it doesn't look good at all. But these are wrapped in Continental tires, so if you guys are a fan of the straight pipes, I always think of them whenever I see Continental tires, so shout out to them. But these are cross-contact tires, and you know, they're a good mix of comfort and efficiency. And then as we come to the charge port right here, it is going to say E-Tron. You push this button, it's going to open right up in a very cool fashion. And you have your CCS combo located right back here. Fold that down and you are going to have your extra plug if you are charging using CCS. And then they have some instructions here because apparently people have been getting their plug locked into the port. So this is how you get your plug out for those that don't know. And then you are going to have this interesting little slat right here. I quite like that. It looks really nice. It has a little aggression to the back. And then you do have animation here in the back for the lights. It starts in the middle. It's going to flare out to the sides. And it's just a bar going all the way across the middle. Really Tron-like, since, you know, it's called the E-Tron. And anyways, that was my dad joke for the day. Because this is not a gasoline car, there is not going to be any exhaust noise, but you do have noises that it makes. So when you put it into reverse, it is going to have basically like a pedestrian noise that is kind of loud. And then once you put it into drive, it has that same noise, but slightly different. And when you accelerate, it gives you like this weird, like electric V8, like low frequency, bassy rumble. I'll let you guys go ahead and take a listen to both of those. So as we get into the E-Tron, now first of all, you've got a really beautiful interior. This one's going to have like a light oyster cream colored interior, and it looks really, really nice. Now on the door, you do have a lot of like suede accents here. You can have this huge aluminum accents going to go all the way here, and you do have interior illumination located here in the door. It's very bright, very vivid, and you even have a little accent located under there, so you guys can see that right there. Really nice leather coming all the way here. Obviously your window controls. I like this like floating door handle, which is pretty cool. It is electronic, so there's no physical connection right there. Area here to put things, memory seats, Bang & Olufsen sound system. This guy does illuminate at night right there. Seating controls. Love this leather, very plush. You guys can see that. Perforations located there in the middle. And it's a good looking seat design, but let's go ahead and hop in and we'll check out the rest. Okay, so let's go ahead and shut the door on the E-Tron. Nice solid shut, extremely quiet in here. Here's a wide look at the interior for you guys. And to start, it's very simple. Foot on the brake, you're gonna have your start stop button located right there. And you're gonna push that to start. All right, so yeah, if you guys heard that, that was the welcome sound that it makes. You can actually adjust the volume of it, or you can obviously turn it off completely. But let's go ahead and start with the steering wheel. So the steering wheel is interesting. You've got obviously leather surrounding the entire outside. This is gonna be like full aluminum right here. It looks fantastic. It's really wide. I can like almost fit my whole fist in there. That's how big it is. An area here to rest your hand, and it's interesting because you can grip it here, you can grip it there. Down here, rest your hand there, here, whatever you want to do. So cruising in this is actually a really cool steering wheel because you can utilize it in many different ways. Over to the right, you have all your media commands. Over to the left, all of your buttons to control the virtual cockpit, and I'll get to that in just a second. Now you do have paddles back here, but these aren't for shifting. These are for adjusting your regen. The regen on here is extremely light. You cannot do one pedal driving, and it only has 2 options, both of which are very light duty regeneration. But I will admit, it coasts so far. So you can coast in this thing for at least like 1 to 2 miles. It's pretty insane. But let's go ahead and get back to these buttons. So you've got your scroll, your options menu, forwards, backwards, and then your view. So we'll go ahead and use those. Now the screen here is interesting. So it looks like just a screen built in, but it's actually slightly sticking out right here. You can see it more from the side. But either way, it's a really interesting screen. I love the way it's set up. Its resolution is incredible. And over to the left, you're going to have all of your information for your battery. So let me zoom in here. So that's your percentage, not my percentage of battery left. That's going to be right here. This is going to be how much battery you're using, or percentage you're using whenever you go down on the accelerator. And then you have your charge, your regen right here. And it's pretty much going to be it, and then whatever mode you're in. So since I'm not doing a range test anymore, I've been driving around in dynamic, and I've been getting about 2.7, let's see, 2.3 miles per kilowatt hour. So still not as good as efficiency, obviously, but I've been getting on it a little bit more. And then you're going to have these different options here, so I can use that left and right to go through there. And if I hit that view button, boom, all of a sudden I've got a full map view, and it looks really good. So very simplistic. This is actually one of these simpler brand new systems that I've used. Over here to the right, you're going to have your wipers there, automatic of course. Blinker over here with your lane keep assist, your steering assist on the outside button. Your light adjustments there. You've got this nice open pore wood located right there. Now this is the US spec, so we don't get the virtual or the camera mirrors right here. Usually you would have a screen here, so that's why this big indent is there. It's not for styling, it's actually for purpose. It's just the US, and our regulations are a little behind everyone else in the world. You do have a head-up display up here. Here's a B-roll clip. You guys can get a better look at it. More of that open pore wood. It's going to say E-Tron over here, and that's going to light up at night. As a matter of fact, this entire cabin looks incredible when it's lit up at night. The ambient lighting is almost club-like, but you can adjust the brightness so it doesn't always have to be that vibrant. I just did it in the video. That way you guys can see just how cool it looks. And you can obviously adjust that through here, pick different colors. You can pick multiple colors. You can do 2 colors at one time. And then this is Audi's updated MMI. It's good. It's got that cool click feedback, but I'm gonna be honest with you guys, this isn't the safest thing to use when you're driving. It's just not. Going on that trip, I still have to look at it despite everything Audi says. It's a good system, it works, but I suggest getting everything set up the way you want it, and then only have to use it if you're using Apple CarPlay or anything like that. Other than that, like adjusting your seats, you have to, so if I click here, it'll take a second and then it comes up right there. So that's how you turn on your massage seats. So I would have to click that, look up here, choose which one I want, click my intensity, click start, and yeah. So it's not the most efficient, but it is really cool. It works well, and you can do all that cool stuff. It's really nice. Now here's your shifter. The whole thing doesn't move, just this outside. Just like that. So that's pretty unique right there. Electronic parking brake. I like this. My only issue is that it doesn't have like a cover, so you can't like close it. And there's a pass-through right here. There's 2 USBs in there. I'm sorry, yeah, 2 USBs, 1 SD. You can close this, but I think it would be nice to have a big cover to close that, just to make it look very symmetrical, because looking in from the outside, it's just this big gaping hole right here. So it is nice you can close this, but you can't close anything right here or anything like that. And you have a wireless phone charger located right in there, if you guys can see that at all. There we go. Storage space in here, very minimal, but you also have a good amount of space here, so it kind of evens itself out. Armrest is nice and soft, but it's very small. You can probably only fit 1 arm on here, so you may be wrestling for arm space. Area in here, lined in felt. Frameless mirror design, full LED lights in here, obviously. Your pano roof on here, which is gorgeous, nice and large. And then you are going to have your vanity mirror located right there. Your LED light's going to be right up top. Okay, so hopping in the back of the Audi E-Tron. Now, I have a decent amount of room, so this is set to my driving position being 6 feet tall. I've got about maybe 3.5, 4 inches of knee room, which is very good. My feet can slide under no problem. They're not wedged under the seat. My headroom is pretty good. Above my big hair, I have almost 2 inches of headroom. And the seat material is great. The floor is very low, so you can definitely fit a third person here. You are going to have a fold down armrest with cup holders. You lift this up, you have a very shallow storage area. Material qualities, of course, are incredible back here. LED lights up top. You have all of your controls here for your vents. You do have heated seats back here as well. You're also going to have 2 USBs, a 12 volt down on the bottom. Obviously your vents here, vents on the outside. The door is really solid quality. And you are going to have a little screen right here. That way, if you have children that have sensitive skin, if you don't want to glare in your phone, whatever you want, you can put this up and have a more secluded area back here. But that's pretty much going to be the extent of everything. It's a pretty good place to be. Let's go ahead and check out the trunk. Okay, so coming to the back of the E-Tron. Now, you've got a really good amount of space. It's only 2 rows. You don't have a third row back here, but that means you have more space than you would in like the Q5. This is actually very comparable to a Q7 with the third row folded down. So I think this is more usable space you would get in a Q7. And then you lift this up and you are gonna have storage space underneath here, which is pretty nice. You have little nets here that are gonna come like as an accessory that you can hook on here. And you are gonna have little cubby areas to the left and to the right sides. Now you can fold the seats down. When you do fold the seats down, you obviously have just a cavernous amount of space in here. You can fit pretty much anything you want to. And then you have another area located underneath the hood, and we'll check that out right now. All right, so coming under the hood of the E-Tron, now you lift this up and you have your storage space. Audi doesn't have the exact specs on here, but this cover is like super flimsy. It feels like it's gonna break in half. But there's enough space in here to fit like a full-size backpack and then a little few extra things under there, and then you have your motor under here as well. But since we're under here, let's go ahead and talk about the specs. So this is a 95 kilowatt hour lithium ion battery pack. You have 2 motors sitting on each axle, and that's going to give you about 402 horsepower total with overboost. You can access that by pulling back into sport mode, and you can do that in any mode. Now, Audi does limit the battery, so you only get access to like 86 kilowatts of that like 95 battery pack. It's supposed to be for longevity, but that also means, like you guys saw when I was charging, you can charge it up to 100% and it still keeps a high charge rate. Now, this is definitely way slower than the I-Pace, way slower than the Model X, but it's very linear and it's very smooth. It almost feels V8-like in the sense that it just gradually accelerates and gets faster as you go on the throttle, which most people will probably be used to. But that's pretty much it for the walk around of the car, so let's go ahead and wrap this video up. All right, so final thoughts on the Audi e-tron. Now, this is a great EV. It's much, much better than I anticipated before it got dropped off. Now, let's compare it to the top 3, right? There's this, there's the I-Pace, and the Model X. I-Pace is a lot faster than this, a lot faster than this. However, the looks are a lot more polarizing than this. It's a little bit more out there. And the I-Pace just doesn't have a good user experience. It's not very intuitive when it comes to the interior, and quality-wise, this is still a little bit better even than the Jaguar. Now, compared to like the Model X, visually, I think the Model X is the coolest looking out of the 3, if you spec it right. Like a base Model X is not good looking at all, but like let's say like a P100D or anything with the black wheel option, I think looks really good, especially in person, and it's got the cool doors, and it's just a cooler car, in my personal opinion. This is a beautiful car. It's very pretty, and it just has a really nice overall traditional luxury feel while also being a good EV. It's obviously not great. The charging network with Electrify America is not the best experience. It really dwindles down the luxury feel once you get to those stations, just because they're not as efficient to use as a supercharging station. That's the benefit of Tesla owning completely that supercharging network. They can control the pricing, which is much cheaper. As a matter of fact, if you get a Model X right now, it's free supercharging. So those 2 times I had to charge it would have been $0, which is always a plus. And it's just faster to use. You pull up, pull the plug, push a button, the port opens on your Tesla, you plug it in, and it charges directly to your account. This is a little bit more of a, you know, swiping your card, tapping a card, waiting for it to initialize, you know, plugging it in, and all this. Obviously you have to plug in with both, but you guys get what I'm saying. It's a great EV though. It's good to know that you can drive further than the 204 EPA if you have to on a long distance trip. And obviously if your lifestyle supports it, you just will charge this at home in your garage. For the most part, you don't really have to go to those charging stations. But once again, if you are on a trip, if you are driving a little bit longer to visit family or whatever you're doing, that experience of just charging publicly is a lot better in the Tesla than in the e-tron. It's not really Audi's fault, but it's just something worth noting. But other than that, I think for a first EV, it's great. And you gotta remember, you're still gonna have options with this. You have this, you have the e-tron Sportback now, and then Audi just announced the e-tron Sportback S, which is gonna be like a tri-motor setup, doing around 4.4 seconds to 60. So that will be something a little bit more competitive with like the I-Pace. And I think once that comes out, they're really, sorry Jaguar, will be no point in buying an I-Pace unless you just prefer Jaguar, you prefer the looks, and things like that, because according to this gets about the same EPA as the I-Pace if you drive it right. But I hope you guys like this review. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe for more content. I'm actually going to do a Kona EV test, so be sure you guys stay tuned for that, because that'll be in about 2 weeks. So hit that notification bell, and I'll see you guys in the next review.